I'm actually an evangelical atheist, but there's something I recognize about religion, that it gives people a chance to surrender. I want to rethink surrender as an active verb. Brian Eno. Welcome to Self-Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Today I'd like to talk about surrender. Perhaps this word has a special meaning to you in your life. Over the holiday break, I was watching The Wizard of Oz with my son, and there's that great part in the film where the Wicked Witch spells out in smoke across the sky, "Surrender, Dorothy." And when we look at it that way, it looks like surrender means give up. I mean, that's what she means in the film, give up. And we also think of surrender in terms of war, right? The waving of the white flag, I give up. And in Eastern culture, white is actually also the color of death. So there's this sense of a loss of power, or giving up one's power or one's agency. But when we look at surrender in terms of being on the path, it's a bit different. There is a sense of giving up. You're giving up control, the control that the ego forces upon us, trying to manipulate our lives in some way, whether it's trying to change how we interact with people or they interact with us. We may try to manipulate our careers, our livelihoods, even traffic or our diet. And perhaps surrender also can mean a sense of letting go to whatever is. Whatever the universe has in store for me, I just surrender to it. So when we look at surrender in that way, we have to ask, to whom are you surrendering? Is it God, the Great Spirit, the universe? Which higher power are you giving yourself over to? Well, there's a danger in looking at it this way. Surrender is not really completely giving up or letting go. This leads to what the I Ching calls a nihilistic quietude. So when we think about surrendering to God or Great Spirit or the universe, let's not forget that God and Great Spirit and the universe are all part of you, as you are a part of it. So perhaps a better way of approaching surrender is to think of it as a release of ego to the power of your highest self. That's the higher power. Your connection to the universe, your connection to God. Bring light to the true essence of primal unified awareness. Again, that's from the I Ching. That which you possessed at birth before human conditioning took hold. If you think of it this way, surrender means to drop conditioning, drop the ego control, and step back into the pure flow that you're already a part of. So then surrender becomes quite active rather than passive. You give up, yes, but you give up manipulation of your life and actively engage in your natural collaboration with Source, with Spirit, with your highest self. So what does that look like practically? That means dropping down into your body when the ego part takes over, when anger takes over, or possessiveness, or jealousy, anxiety, depression, these grasping emotions and feelings that are actually byproducts of the ego. You can recognize them just by the feelings in your body that are associated with those emotions or those states of mind. When your stomach aches, or you have a headache, or that chest tightening, or even your throat constricting. This is why practicing that grounding meditation that we talked about many times in this podcast is so helpful. Starting with grounding yourself by feeling your feet and taking those 3 deep breaths in through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, out through your mouth. Dropping into the body and seeing how it feels. What is it trying to tell you? That practice is immensely helpful. So when you become aware of that discomfort, however it manifests itself throughout your day, drop in. Notice. Allow whatever it is you're feeling to have its voice. Do this with loving acceptance. The surrender, then, becomes a prayer for alignment with your highest self. Working with it by calling upon it to ease the suffering. The highest self, God, Source, the universe, then engages and works with you in return. So you collaborate. You're not giving your power up or away. You're not sitting passively saying, well, whatever the universe gives me, that's what I'm going to take. No, you're working with it. Surrender means to actively step back into alignment by releasing that ego grasping, that manipulation. So it's a new year, it's a new decade, and a lot of people may have made New Year's resolutions, and perhaps learning to surrender is one of yours. You may consider this kind of practice of surrender. That might be interesting for you to try this year. But one thing I'd like to say about New Year's resolutions, we make them this time of year because it is a new light cycle. We're bringing light back into our lives slowly. So even though the days are getting longer and more light is coming in, we are still in a period of darkness and dormancy and hibernation and nurturing under the ground, under our self ground. So we can actually use this time to nurture the self and practice right behavior inwardly. And over time, maybe around the spring, whenever it's right for you, the self will blossom. Just remember that it's an ongoing path. It's a practice. And the more that you do it, the more natural it becomes. Just be gentle with yourself in this new year, in this new decade. And as you're more gentle with yourself, you can be more gentle with others. Until next time, many blessings on your path. Thank you for joining me on Self Talk. Aho.